2000s, they are back on trend, unfortunately. I remember myself in 2000s. I wish I didn't. Hello guys, so let's talk today about modern trends and who would look good in this or that trend. I'm not talking about trends on my channel, but I just thought why not, and people are actually searching for this information. We're just gonna discuss the shapes, the lines, the outlines, and who would look good in that. I also decided to use kind of like that scale of timelessness, which we're gonna see how timeless this particular trend is. Y2K fashion, Y stands for year, 2, it's 2, K means 1000. Y2K. 2000s, they are back on trend, unfortunately. I remember myself in 2000s. I wish I didn't. Lower rise jeans or skirts. I guarantee it's pretty low on our scale of timelessness because we're talking about proportions here very much. So any low rise, it's actually making the legs and the bottom look more square, wider, because it's shorter comparing to the torso. Torso looks extremely long and elongated. Your hands look unproportionately long comparing to that short bottom again. So that by itself doesn't make sense to me in terms of proportions. Of course, if there's a model, she's very thin and she has very long legs just by nature, and maybe her legs are even elongated and her torso is shorter. For these ladies, it can work actually pretty good. And I also know ladies who are not as tall, but they still have pretty short torso and pretty elongated legs. So every time they're buying jeans or pants that are normal waisted or high waisted, they actually look disproportionate. So for them, they actually are searching for something with lower waist. But in the majority of cases, we can see how much women are trying to get something whether high-waisted to elongate their legs and just make their body more proportionate in general. So who would look good in that? Again, model-like bodies with elongated legs, with very slim and skinny, probably. It is only when we talk about proportions. When we talk about the concept and the aesthetic point of this thing, it's up to you guys. My personal taste is not there. Number 2, mini skirts. It's back, but it's pretty timeless piece, and this is probably where it is on a scale of timelessness from my viewpoint. Not quite full scale, but not quite on the bottom, but I just think when we talk about mini skirts, I think the most important thing is how you incorporate it into whole look. It's a small piece, it's just one piece of the whole combination of things, and it's so important what exactly you're wearing around that. It is much more important than the skirt itself. I'm actually gonna film a separate video about mini skirts. It will be like a little guide how to wear mini skirts nowadays and what to expect when you're wearing mini skirt with this or that thing. But just to generalize it, there are many different women with many different bodies, and I think mini skirts can be so different. They can have different fabrics, different shapes, different tailoring, different patterns, and they can be worn with different pieces, so overall it creates such a different look. And I think it doesn't depend on how beautiful, like some people say, if you have beautiful legs, just go for a mini skirt. All women have beautiful legs. It's not about this. There are loads of women out there with gorgeous legs, but they just don't want to show their knees. They just don't feel it's classy for them and don't feel it's kind of appropriate, even in a younger age. As far as it's revealing a huge amount of your body, everything else that you're wearing that is not enough fabric, it can look slightly too sexy. So to actually deal with this situation, you can just pick up everything else more closed. Not crop tops, not huge cleavage here. When I was looking for pictures on the internet of a miniskirt, I've seen so many examples of don'ts and so little examples of do's. But we're gonna talk about this in one of my next videos. And I think any woman of any type can actually rock the miniskirt. It's just too many details. Number 3 is stripes. Stripes can be also very different. They can be big stripes or small stripes or middle stripes. Then it can be vertical and horizontal, and it can be diagonal stripes. So all that gives slightly different appearance and vibe to a piece of clothes. If it's small, it's not very aggressive. It looks much softer. It gives that fluidity to the piece and to the fabric. It's not that harsh. It's not as contrasted and not as outlining and not as color blocked as, for example, if we compare it to bigger stripes. Black and white's geometrics look much more harsh than other colored stripes. Probably the most harsh would be big stripes, horizontal, and black and white. That probably would give the biggest stiffness and biggest contrast to the piece. Now, if you have small stripes and different colored stripes, not black and whites, then in combination with a softer fabric, it can create more boho effect, more 70s effect. Now, big black and white and very harsh contrasted stripes can be a little bit too harsh on soft women, women with softer flesh and with curves, or smallish women and small and soft women. It can give them that lifeless feel and some cold geometry, so they would probably go better for diagonal and smaller, or still can be good horizontal and vertical too, but maybe just a little bit on the smaller side, or sometimes not as harsh colors. But of course it depends on your coloration. And on a scale of timelessness, it's gonna be the full scale, of course. Number 4, cutouts. Different kinds of dresses or tops with cutouts, transparent, mini, some holes and openings. So I think on the scale of timelessness, it's not very high, because there's still in the world a tendency on closing the body a little bit. Again, reminding us of 2000s, because in 2000s I think it was that trend to show the parts of our body to be more undressed, and the crop tops showing the belly, for example, and mini skirts, all that was very popular in there. So I just think that is an echo of 2000s again. But I think cutouts is just such a big generalization. You can find an amazing and timeless pieces with different cutouts that look absolutely modest, not too revealing, and very, very classy. So again, it so much depends on a piece. And of course, the more pictures you see, the more you train your eyes to see that little things. And why I think this trend happened is because lately we're sticking to that symmetry and minimalism in clothes so much, that very classic lines. So I think they probably started breaking the rules a little bit just to celebrate different kind of shapes, just something irregular that will pop up in terms of shaping the garment. Number 5, butterfly tops. I'm actually not seeing this around. I'm not living in the most trendy, fashionable capital or something, but I'm still not seeing this summer or this spring. So let me know, guys, if you see this. I think in the scale of timelessness, it's gonna be very low. We're not opening our bellies too often, and I'm not talking again about women who has some extra weight or some underweight. It's not about how fit, how slim you look in that piece. It's more about the concept. It's more about the aesthetic and vibe of that piece. Like, why would you want to show all the parts of your body unless you're on a beach, for example? Number 6, tailored suits, blazers, and pants in any color possible. On the timelessness scale, it's gonna be 100%, because it's not going anywhere since probably Chanel started it in 1920s, somewhere back there. When women just started wearing men's suits, I think it's not gonna go anywhere. It just depends on how you dress yourself. If you're very soft, cute, rounded, have some extra flesh and figure, probably you don't want to stick to something too oversized and stiff. Probably something that would be slightly cinched on the waist would be better, or if it's not, then maybe something contrasted underneath the jacket, so that would actually show your figure as something that would be very tight, so you would not kind of get lost in that suit. Women who are angular, whether small or tall or regular size, they look great in that, whether it's very long pants to the floor or slightly shorter pants. Taller women or moderate size women, they look normally great with the elongated pants. If the woman is tiny and small, and if she's pretty bony, she would look great in that blazer. Maybe not too oversized again, maybe slightly narrower in shape, so not to make her too wide and squarish looking. Then she can wear whether long pants to the floor if she's wearing some platforms or some higher heels, or if she's wearing flat shoes, probably would be better if she would go for something narrower and ankle length. Same with smaller and softer women. If it's small and rounded, like Marilyn Monroe-ish kind of a figure, then for these women, probably same thing. Probably if she would wear something very long to the floor, high heels, probably that would be better, and probably not too platformish, not too heavy and chunky. Probably for them, something more glamorous and delicate would look better. She needs to add just something delicate, show her wrists, for example, or blazer with slight waist. That will balance the look, so she would not look too bulky. Number 7, bright colors. How can colors be trendy or not trendy? So I think on a scale of timelessness, it's gonna be about 50%, because it just depends. I personally think that with a good accented brow and with a black eyeliner, for example, for the evening, any woman can basically go for any color of the suit, unless her coloration is just so pale, so pale, so she just, even with the bright makeup, even with defined brows, she can't pull off that bright colors. But just in general, I think bright makeup is already enough to pull off different bright colors suits. For the daily basis, for more calm, for more fresh makeup. Of course, you can go just for calmer colors. And you can actually watch this video where I'm explaining if you have more muted coloration or more bright coloration. I'm gonna leave the link down below. Number 8, white tank top. In the scale of timelessness, I think for now it's still 100%. Any age woman can actually pull that off pretty well. Any size woman can actually pull that off pretty well. If we talk about the body types, probably somebody who is drier and more muscular is wearing it slightly better than somebody who is curvy and very soft and who is not angular, who's very rounded. I just think that for rounded women, maybe combine it with something else or choosing slightly bigger size so they would not be stretched on them and hug them too much. That is a great piece. You can dress it up or dress it down. You can wear it underneath blazer, or when it's hot outside you can just wear it like this with jeans. Sometimes you can wear this romantic or boho skirt on top, get some necklaces here and you will get boho. So it's a pretty universal piece. It just depends on how you are dressing it. Number 9, sandals, shoes with platform. On the scale of timelessness, I would go for 70%. It just depends more on a body type. And I think now, even if the platform is not trendy, everybody will still go for it and won't look outdated because it's such a piece. And I think for many women it actually looks amazing, and it's just lifts us up a little bit. It gives our legs elongation. Sometimes we're just lacking that elongation that we need sometimes to balance longer bottom pieces or longer dresses. I think it's a great tool. The only problem with this tool is just it can look slightly chunky and too stiff and angular. For some women, it can actually make the legs look very heavy and even give that swollen legs appearance. I think if the woman is soft and rounded and curvy, something more delicate would be better. Or a delicate woman, for example, delicate and curvy and soft. I think for her as well, something slimmer would probably look better. If you still want to go for platform, go for something narrower, slimmer, if your feet can tolerate that, and choose the model that would not be too chunky. Otherwise it will be like 2 blocks on your feet, not very delicate. On bony women, on muscular women who have some sporty figure, I think it can also look good. Again, it depends on, just check for that effect for yourself. What kind of legs you have. Does it make your legs look too chunky? Doesn't make you look too bulky and too squarish. Sometimes, however, that can create that contrast. Your feet and your bones can actually look more delicate when you're wearing that chunky shoes. So also check for that effect if you like it or not for yourself. Also, big chunky platforms go to the same category, but again, it's same thing. If the platform is uniform, then sometimes it can make our legs look thicker, especially when it's wide at the same time. Sometimes uniform platform is going narrower, it's a little better. I think though, if it separates for the heel, it looks better on any leg because it gives that air a little bit. It kind of like gives that effect, you know, some people say there's like ugly sofa and beautiful sofa. Ugly sofa is like sofa of 2000s that is just unshaped slightly and doesn't have these legs, elegant legs. Something light on the bottom gives the piece some air, so it just doesn't look as bulky and as heavy, as opposed to this kind of sofa which looks kind of lighter anyway. It doesn't matter if it can be pretty bulky on top, but if it has some separation on the bottom, different legs, not just one big base, yeah, but just some legs, it already looks slightly lighter. So if you want that lighter look, I think just pick up some platforms with separation for the heel, and maybe not as wide, just slightly narrower on the heel. That will do the trick. And last but not least, number 10, pencil skirts. Pencil skirts today are slightly different, not very much like that office one, but office ones is there too. It's just sometimes they can be slightly more to the midi side and slightly lower the knees or about the knees, you know. The lengths are different right now and the shapes are a little bit different. They can be slightly straight. Also looking on a scale of timelessness, again, it's probably 50% or 60%. For some women, it's not gonna work just because it can make them look very stocky and squarish, especially for small women who have small legs, smaller limbs, and who have some width and some softness. So that kind of skirt can make them look like rectangular and make them look slightly heavy. So the decision of that is, for example, getting a skirt that is making it narrower to the knees and closing the knees, and under the knees there's like a slimmer part of your leg, because this is where the skirt ideally would finish, not lower, because lower is gonna be our cuff already, and cuff is going wider. So if you're gonna do that, it's gonna bring you down a little bit. So stop below the knee, and the thinnest also would be better if it's narrow, and also would be better if it just goes slightly narrower to the knee length. And then it can have some vertical opening, some opening on the side, opening on another side. It can have some cut at the front, it can have some diagonal cut on the back, on a side, and also small women who are pretty strong also looking, they can have pretty much any skirt if they combine it correctly with the rest of the stuff. They can have like a platform shoes with that kind of skirt. First of all, give them a little bit longer vertical line sometimes for some of them who doesn't have enough, and then it will elongate their legs a little bit, and that chunkiness kind of will balance the rest, and then that skirt, again, preferably not super wide, maybe narrower skirt would be better. You can also check those two videos, Haircut Trends 2022 and Hair Color Trends 2022. I'm gonna leave the links down below. And I'm also explaining who will look good with this or that, and how to combine it with your hair texture, natural texture. All right, thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Also, you can become my sponsor or subscribe on my Patreon for some exclusive videos, some early access to these videos, and just if you want to support me and my channel. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye bye.